What's going on, guys? Styx here with the Token Minorities, bringing you Week 8 of the VPL NU League, and this is going to be the last week of regular season before playoffs, and we take our undefeated record up against Nozzermat and his Houston Rotoms. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, if you have not joined the Blue Devils squad in the Discord yet, there is a link down below. Please consider joining, as we are clearly the most awesome Token Minorities team out of all 3, 4, 5, actually all 5 Token Minorities play the draft league. So we are definitely the most awesome, even though we are the newest and least experienced, but hey, we take those. But regardless, let's just go ahead and hop right on over to the team. Like I said, we are up against Nozzermat this week, and he has a team that is incredibly rock weak, but unfortunately he has this little thing called Xatu, which, yeah, Xatu's incredibly annoying and pretty much mitigates that rock weakness, as my only rocker cannot fully take advantage of Xatu in that it can't really 2-hit KO it or OHKO it. So it's just able to come in and roost up against my Seismitoad. Basically, Xatu can just switch into my Seismitoad whenever it wants. So that's going to be pretty tricky for me. But he does have a plethora of mons that I'm terrified of. I mean, first of all, there is the Medicham, which, I mean, Medicham is freaking Medicham. It hits insanely hard. I don't really have anything that switches in particularly easily to it. So it's just a matter of trying to take advantage of whatever move it locks itself into and try to go from there. His setup sweepers are terrifying as well, with Minior, Vivillon, Slowbro, and Charizard all having setup options that can be devastating to me. So I really have to have contingencies against those as well. And then also just the very potent defensive mons that are Palisand, Avalugg, and Probopass. They can potentially just shut down whatever I want to try to go for. So this is going to be a very, very difficult matchup, despite the fact that he's very rock weak. I mean, like I said, the Xatu is just able to mitigate that pretty easily. But then again, looking at my team, I have a couple mons that pressure him immensely. So Delphox and Frostlass are two things that, like, I think can just destroy his team. Delphox, as you can see, I'm bringing a Z Delphox with Calm Mind. I think Calm Mind Delphox has a real possibility to destroy, or at least like sweep his team, or at least put a huge hole in it. And then also just 4 attacks Frostlass does incredibly against him as well. I mean, Ghost Spam is something that he does not have good switch-ins to. He does not even have a Ghost Resist on his team, so that's going to be something that I try to exploit as well as I can, and is really what this team is going to be built around. But anyway, let's just go ahead and jump right into the team. The first thing I'm bringing is that Calm Mind Z Delphox, and the reason I went for Fire Z as opposed to Grass Z is because +1 Grass Knot is easily able to 2-hit KO Slowbro, and the only thing on his team that I can really see stopping Delphox from sweeping is going to be Probopass, and so I want to hit that thing as hard as possible with a +1 Inferno Overdrive, which, depending on his investment, might be able to take it out, or how much chip damage I've gotten off on it. So Delphox is really going to be just something that I try to use to break through his team and just leave it so that my Frostlass, Guzzlord, Zangoose, Electivire can potentially clean up the game later, if I get the opportunity. Next up, we do have Choppleberry Guzzlord as a pseudo way of trying to deal with Medicham. Basically what this Guzzlord does is it takes a hit from Medicham and revenge kills it. So that's, and then it pretty much, if it does that, it won't do anything else. So between Guzzlord and Medicham is going to be my ways of trying to mitigate the high jump kicks that it can go for, which really would decimate my team otherwise. And Frostlass also just makes him think twice about going for high jump kick, just because, I mean, if he does that, then he's automatically at 50% and a lot easier to deal with priority among other just weaker attacks. So yeah, between Frostlass and then Guzzlord and Delphox, I'm using those guys to try to deal with Medicham. But Guzzlord with Knockoff, Drain Punch, Outrage, and Fire Blast does very well against the team. Oh, I forgot to mention with Delphox, the speed is to outspeed Charizard and then just through the rest into max out my special attack and defense. So pretty straightforward spread right there. Guzzlord, I'm going in just trying to go physical because I think that can do the best against him. I mean, Knockoff's going to do a ton of damage to stuff. Drain Punch. Really the reason I ended up going physical Guzzlord was because Drain Punch and Knockoff will hit so much harder against his team. I mean, Drain Punch is able to take on Probopass, and then Avalug's Spadef, even if he invests in it, is so low that Fire Blast will still be doing a chunk, so I can wear it down with the combination of Knockoff and Fire Blast. And then Outrage is just an incredibly spammable move against him. Once Avalug and Probopass are gone, if I go for Outrage, I pretty much just get a kill on whatever he wants to bring in. The Chompleberry, like I said, is to be able to take the high jump kick from full against a Scarf Medicham, as anything but a Scarf Medicham is going to be much easier for me to deal with. Enough speed. What did I think I put enough speed to outspeed Probopass, like 0 investment Probopass, I'm pretty sure is the mark that I tried to hit. I had to go Brave just so Fire Blast would hit with enough oomph on Avalug to be worth it, and then I maxed out my defense to take hits from Medicham as well as possible, have the best chance of living from a high jump kick, and then also just maxed out my attacks, or not maxed out my attack, I threw the rest into attack so that my knockoffs, Drain Punches, Outrages would be doing as much as possible against him. Next up, we do have Rindoberry Seismitoad, and this one is just kind of a... Seismitoad is just there as a physical wall to potentially get up rocks, because if somehow I'm able to get up rocks with my Seismitoad, then I will pretty much just win with the pressure that I'm able to exert with the rest of my team. I know that he will probably not allow me that opportunity, but Stealth Rock do so much against his team that I would be dumb not to at least bring it. That way, if Xatu goes down early, if I'm able to catch it with something that it's not expecting, maybe he just doesn't bring Xatu in on my Seismitoad at a certain situation, then getting rocks up puts me in such a great position that I had to try to bring it. Protect is to help with the Medicham scout out what move it wants to go for. Like if Medicham comes in on my Seismitoad, I can Protect, make him high jump kick into a wall. If he goes for Zen Headbutt, I can go into my Guzzler, and basically just whatever move it goes for, I can go into the Mon that deals with it accordingly. And then Scald and Knockoff are the other moves of choice. Knockoff just gets rid of items that'll be very, very handy in this matchup, and then Scald just be able to potentially burn something, hit the fire type super effectively, hit the Probopass super effectively in Palisand, while also potentially getting burns on things like the Xatu, the Rotom, the Minior, stuff like that. Just whatever he tries to switch into Seismitoad. Very standard EV spread, just max to be able to take hits as well as possible as a way of taking a hit from Minior and revenging that as well. Next up, we have the other Mon that I think is going to do a ton of work in this, and that is going to be Life Orbed Frostlass with Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, HP Fighting, and Ice Shard. Now, I'm running mixed Frostlass because I was looking for a way to deal with Vivillon and Minior that wasn't just taking a hit and going from there. I needed more priority to take them out, and I realized, well, Frostlass actually has the same attack stat as it does special attack. So by going with Ice Shard, I'm actually able to revenge kill Minior after it takes a hit from pretty much anything, and Vivillon as well. So it just gives me more opportunities and more abilities to revenge kill his Mons, and then also just Ice Stab against his team is insane. So I mean, like, Ice, Fighting, and Ghost are just... They do work on his team. They do work against his team, whatever he tries to bring in, so that's what I'm going to try to exploit in this matchup. Life Orb to hit as hard as possible, and then the EVs, enough to outspeed Charizard, and then maxed out special attack and threw the rest into attack. This is able to revenge kill Vivillon and Minior from 50%, I believe, and Minior is KO'd with an Ice Beam into Ice Shard, so just doesn't give him any opportunities to set up, and then the HP Fighting is going to be for the Probopass, as Avalug is just hit as hard by Shadow Ball anyway. Next up, we do have the Mon that is just going to be my... Vivillon is not going to sweep me. That is... Electivire is 100% the Mon that's just like, no, Vivillon, you are not going to be doing anything to me at all, with the combination of Assault Vest and Vital Spirit. Assault Vest allows me to take those bug buzzes. My electric typing allows me to resist the Hurricane, and then Vital Spirit keeps him from sleep powdering me, as this would be the Mon he tries to sleep powder, as it's the one that can take hits from the Vivillon, and basically, yeah. I mean, physical Electivire, first of all, does work against him with Wild Charge, Ice Punch, and Earthquake, hitting pretty much everything super effectively, except for the Avalugg. And then the Avalugg, I do have Volt Switch to get some momentum. I mean, as he's probably going to try to go into that, I might as well just get some damage off. I thought about running Flamethrower, but I figured, okay, Electivire is really not going to be doing a whole heck of a lot to Avalugg anyway, as I'm wanting to go physical in this matchup. So unless I invest a ton in special attack, it's not going to be doing a lot, and physical is much better than special due to just having a much higher physical stat that I can abuse. So Volt Switch was a way to get momentum and get some damage off on Avalugg with my Electivire. The speed is to guaranteed outspeed Vivillon. The attack is just max attack and threw the rest into HP, and this actually takes hits from Vivillon very, very well, but this also serves as a switch into Rotom if he decides to go that route, and just his other special attackers if Electivire is not worn down. Finally, we are bringing the Zangoose, and this is where I'm like able to justify trying to bring Seismitoad with Stealth Rocks against a Xatu. So I figured if I can manage to Pursuit Trap Xatu with something, then Seismitoad will be able to get up rocks, and I will pretty much just win, as his team is so weak to rocks otherwise. And I do have a spin blocker in the form of Frostlass. Yes, he does have Defog, but it still should do a lot of work if I'm able to get them up. So that's why I decided to try Pursuit Zangoose this season. That way I'll be able to come in on Xatu, and he will not see it coming. He will try to switch out into his Palisand or his Avalugg to take the hit from Xatu, but then I will be able to Pursuit the Xatu and potentially knock it out. Or take the hit from Zangoose, not take the hit from Xatu, but he will potentially try to switch that out to take the hit, and then Zangoose will Pursuit it, and if I can knock it out, then that just really, really opens things up for my team. So that's ultimately the reason that I'm bringing Zangoose this week, but also it does a ton of work against him with the combination of Facade plus Close Combat. Yes, Palisand is going to be a little bit annoying, but I mean, my first three, I guess Delphox to an extent with Grass Knot, I mean, these guys deal with Palisand very nicely, so I don't need to hit it as hard as I would otherwise. Quick Attack is able to help with like Ice Shard and picking off Vivillon, other fast threats. Facade hits his team super hard. Pursuit for the Xatu, like I said, I'm trying it out. And then Close Combat, switch between this and Ice Punch, but I figure Minior is going to be hit hard enough by Close Combat anyway. Palisand is handled by the rest of my team, so I really don't have to worry about that as much, and so just Close Combat ended up taking the spot over Ice Punch just for, I mean, just sheer move purposes. It ended up being much more useful. So yeah, that is the team, and let's just go ahead and hop right on over to the battle and see if we can finish the perfect season. Alrighty, so here we are in the battle, and the first thing I'm noticing is that unfortunately he made the smart play of bringing both the Xatu and the Charizard, so those are going to be two things that I have to somewhat look out for, but I am very relieved to see that the Probopass, Minior, and Vivillon all did not come. I mean, granted, I did have pretty good answers to all of those, but regardless, I mean, the fact that threats are not here will make things a whole lot easier for me. But that being said, he does have some pretty sturdy walls in the Palisand and Avalugg, so those are going to be something that I have to look out for and worry about. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right in on to the match. I'm going to go ahead and lead with my Seismitoad, as with Protect I can scout out whatever my opponent wants to go for. As he does lead, Xatu goes for the Dazzling Gleam. I am assuming just trying to predict my Guzzlord to try to switch in, but I do have the Rindo Berry, so I can survive the Grass Knot no matter what. Go for the knock off its Life Orb, and then I'm going to switch into Delphox to potentially take the Grass Knot or whatever. And given this free turn, I'm going to go ahead and Calm Mind as he goes Slowbro, and now I'm going to go for the Grass Knot as he does have the Rindo Berry more than likely. I mean, that's what he was going to use to be able to take on Delphox, and he Toxics me. Now, this is unfortunate, really going to limit what Delphox is going to be able to do, and I'm going to go for a second Grass Knot, just scout out the damage, see what it can do, and now Slowbro is actually kind of in range of potentially another Grass Knot, which I am going to go for. I mean, he was more than likely going to switch out, but this would do some solid damage to something as Medicham comes in, takes a +1 Grass Knot, and now I just want to delete something. I'm going to go straight for my Inferno Overdrive. Was real overkill on the Medicham, but I mean, hey, that thing's gone. I don't have to worry about that anymore, and at least I have something down. So he's going to go back into Slowbro, and at this point I'm figuring he's just going to try to slack off stall. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that, go into my Seismitoad as he actually goes for the Psychic. I mean, I guess he was just knowing that Regenerator could still handle whatever I wanted to do with Delphox, and I'm going to go for the knockoff as he brings in his Xatu. I am never going to go for Rocks, as he's just going to go Xatu every time. With the Roost, he can beat me 1v1. And I'm going to go straight into my Electivire. Go for the Ice Punch initially, just in case he wanted to go into Palossand to scout that, but now that I went for the Ice Punch, I'm going to go for the Volt Switch, even though Xatu was able to roost off the damage. I knew he was going to go Avalugg, and now I can bring back in my Delphox and have it in on the Avalugg, potentially able to take advantage. But at this point, I know he's going to go Slowbro. I'm going to go straight into my Frostlass and try to just fire off some Shadow Balls, see if I can do some significant damage to his team. So Slowbro is 2-hit KO'd by Life Orb Shadow Ball, which tells me that it's very Spadef, and he immediately gets the burn, which really sucks because now my Frostlass is going to be even more limited than it already was. So I'm going to keep going for Shadow Balls, as I will be able to KO the Slowbro from there as he goes into Avalugg, and this thing is also Spadef. So I'm just going to fire off Hidden Power Fighting, even though it's the same power as Shadow Ball, and he's just going to recover up, let my Frostlass kill itself. And unfortunately, I'm getting some relatively low rolls right there. I mean, had I gotten max into max, I would have been able to knock out the Avalugg, but unfortunately that did not end up happening, and Avalugg will end up at a pretty solid amount of HP at the end of that exchange, and I do lose my Frostlass, which is a huge threat for pretty much nothing. So I'm going to go into Guzzlord right there, fire off a knockoff, get rid of that Avalugg's leftovers, and just, I figured he would just attack me, see what I would go for, maybe just try to get damage off on my Guzzlord, as it is a huge threat against his team. Only Xatu is really able to revenge kill it and OHKO it back, and I get a crit. Now I'm going to go for the Fire Blast right here, end up knocking it out, and I calced after the game. The knockoff crit only mattered if I got absolute min damage with Fire Blast, so I don't think it ended up mattering again unless I got absolute min, and if that was the case, then I'm sorry, but I mean, that's just kind of how it goes, and I do get the attack boost as he brings in his Charizard. Now, figuring he's going to try to just knock out my Charizard, or knock out my Guzzlord, I'm just going to sack off my Seismitoad, and he goes for the Z Sunny Day in front of my Guzzlord. Now, Guzzlord would have been able to just OHKO it with Outrage, but at that point I would have been locked into Outrage, and Xatu would have been able to come in and revenge kill my Guzzlord, at which point I would have had a much more difficult time dealing with the Palossand and the Slowbro. So he does make a good play. I really didn't think that it was worth going for at that point and worth sacking off my Guzzlord. So I'm going to go into my Seismitoad as he reveals himself to be Z Sunny Day, and this is terrifying. I have absolutely nothing to switch in, so luckily my Seismitoad is in, and I do have the Protect. So even though this isn't the intended purpose, Protect is actually going to keep me from just losing at this point, because everything would have been knocked out by Flamethrower from Solar Power Z Sunny Day Charizard. Like, I would have lost, just straight up, if I did not have Protect on my Seismitoad, as even my Electivire goes down from this range. So I'm very, very fortunate that I decided to bring Protect on Seismitoad, as I will be able to stall out the Sun turns. He will not be able to get the Sun back up. And right here, I'm actually going to go for Stealth Rock in case he tries to stall to potentially get another turn of Sun up, and that way the Stealth Rock can help me with Xatu and the Slowbro. But unfortunately, he does not. He just knocks out my Seismitoad and my Delphox, but at this point, I can just go straight into my Electivire, tank the Flamethrower, which I would have not been able to do under Solar Power and under the Sun, and then knock out the Charizard with Volt Switch. And now that I have a free switch, I'm going to go straight into my Zangoose and just try to do work against him. I'm thinking that he won't go immediately Palossand, because Zangoose is more than likely, or Zangoose is known for carrying knockoff, and I don't think he would want to risk that immediately. So I am able to knock out the Xatu as he gets a heavy amount of damage off, and then Slowbro's in. I figure he's not going to try to over-predict, or he's going to think that maybe he can tank a super effective knockoff, but I have zero reason to go for a knockoff right now when Facade is so much more powerful, and I'm able to knock out the Spadef Slowbro, and now I do have the game, as he is going to go into Palossand. Zangoose can't do a whole lot to it, as I do have Pursuit as my way of hitting Palossand over knockoff, and he's just going to shore up, I mean, let Zangoose die to its own poison, and with the combination of Guzzlord and Electivire, even though knockoff will be doing less and less progressively, it will still do enough to Palisand, as you can see right here, to where he can't just try to shore up out of it. And I'm even going to survive the Earth Power from the Palisand, and my Guzzlord is going to be able to clean up the Palisand. The rest of that's HP with an Outrage. I just kind of went for Outrage style points right at the end. So we are able to take that very, very close game 2-0 against Nozzer, and we ended up going undefeated. So that was a very intense game. I mean, his Spadef walls really did catch me off guard. I mean, my two things that I thought would put in an immense amount of work, Frostlass and Delphox, did pretty much nothing. I mean, between the two of them, they got a total of 1 kill, and I was expecting those two to just absolutely run through his team. And then Seismitoad Protect ended up being the real MVP, as otherwise Charizard would have just absolutely swept me. So really, really good game, Nozzer. I am terrified at the prospect of facing you in playoffs, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.